Straight ahead on the Valley today, a big sigh of relief for a North Dakota family whose loved one went missing for days.
Also ahead, why the attorney for a former North Dakota chiropractor charged with 4 murders wants off the case.
Plus, why the former Minneapolis police officer at the center of the George Floyd case is asking for a new trial. But first, Fargo police officers are going to be wearing body cams in just a few months. Chief Dave Zabolski says they should be ready by August.
The devices come equipped with triggers that are activated when an officer draws a pistol or taser, removes a rifle from a vehicle, or when the vehicle lights are turned on. The system costs $2.8 million and will be paid for with federal funds from the coronavirus relief aid. Training begins in early July. A 30-year-old missing woman from Fargo has been found safe.
Fargo police aren't saying where Jessica Hauser was, but they do say she met with detectives last night in Fargo. Her father says it's a big relief after his daughter went missing for several days. Her family feared that she was in danger and was with a man who they claim is violent. A Minnesota man is charged with killing his 1-year-old niece by running her over, and police allege that he was drunk at the time. Court records say 28-year-old Anthony Goose backed over the child when he was leaving a home in Walker on Sunday. One witness says that it appeared Goose realized what he did, but then he took off.
Deputies later found him and took a blood alcohol content reading of 0.12. He's facing charges of criminal vehicular homicide, operating a vehicle with negligence under the influence of alcohol, leaving an accident scene, and driving after revocation. A Bismarck lawyer is asking to withdraw as counsel for a man accused of killing 4 people in Mandan 2 years ago. Attorney Robert Quick is citing a disciplinary complaint against him filed by the defendant, Chad ISAAK.
Quick says the complaint presents a conflict of interest and that he is obligated to end his representation of ISAAK. The 46-year-old chiropractor is accused of killing RJR maintenance and management co-owner Robert Faulkner, employees Adam Fuhrer and William and Lois Cobb on April 1st of 2019. ISAAK's trial is scheduled to start on June 7th. Convicted murderer Derek Chauvin, he wants his conviction tossed out and a new trial. His attorney alleges that Chauvin was deprived of a fair trial because of a denial of a change of venue, pre-trial publicity, failure to sequester the jury, and prosecutorial and jury misconduct.
He also says there were errors of law at the trial and that the verdict is contrary to law. Chauvin was convicted of murder and manslaughter earlier this month in the death of George Floyd. He'll be sentenced June 25th.
Now 6:49 on this Wednesday morning. Let's get a check of that forecast. Here in the metro, being treated to a pretty sunrise on the horizon. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. It has been gorgeous. We got a nice view here over the last last hour or so. Sunrise at 6:05, but I just want to show you on our time lapse here how it really just burst in that small little sliver here that we saw right at 6:05. Just gorgeous with those colors there. And since then, the sun has disappeared behind those clouds, but it was a nice view while we had it. And in some places, we are getting some sun today. In others, we are dealing with some rain. Still reporting rain in Jamestown. Here's the latest view on our I-94 DOT cam there. You can see the headlights of that vehicle reflecting off the wet road surface. And there are other places that have seen some rain today, too. I just got a report from John in Carrington. He says they had about 3/10 of an inch of rain, and they're very excited about that because it's been some time since that area has seen some rain, and they could certainly use more. He also mentioned there was a little bit of snowflakes mixed in with the rain too, so that may be something you're seeing this morning in these areas in the valley. Now, not all of this is reaching the ground, especially on the leading edge of it because it's running into some drier air, but there are those places where we're getting that rain. So Jamestown, Valley City, back down to Edgeley and Lisbon, that area most likely seeing some rain showers, and perhaps again in blue some of those snowflakes mixing in. They are melting as they reach the ground. Temperatures are pretty mild in those areas under the clouds here this morning. Now we're watching that slide to the south and east and will eventually depart the southern valley later today, but for this morning it's going to impact your morning commute in those spots. And here's a look at our temperatures. Big difference between the west and south and the north and east. Fargo's at 40 under the clouds, and then Grand Forks, where we had more clear skies. We're at 23, so a big difference there. And that will continue for this morning until the sun helps to warm us all up and kind of evens things out with the clouds hanging around in the south. So again, we're watching this slipping to the south as we head through the day today. And eventually we'll see some quieting weather, though this afternoon we could have a couple of those spotty afternoon clouds and maybe even a shower pop up in some spots. By the end of the week, we'll be around 60 degrees, still running below average, though, here in the extended planner. So no 80s in sight right now, but looking not too bad for Mother's Day weekend.
All right, looking forward to that. Good news for moms. Thank you, Lisa. Minnesota is about to open up a bit more after a year plus of COVID restrictions. Governor Tim Walz will announce the latest dialbacks tomorrow.
He's not giving details, but says it will go a long way to moving things forward. The last rollback of COVID restrictions in Minnesota came in mid-March when restaurants and bars were allowed to operate at 75% capacity and gym capacities increased to 50%. Capacity limits at religious services and salons were lifted. Entertainment venues were allowed to increase indoor and outdoor occupancy levels from 25 to 50% with a maximum of 250 people.
Governor Walz is also calling on state lawmakers to pass a summer learning package as part of the state's COVID-19 recovery. He says that while this summer will look different than the last, with people returning to stadiums and swimming pools, it's important to provide enrichment opportunities as well. The
governor says the state has the money and the legislature now needs to take up that issue.
The legislature's down to 2 weeks, and we tell our students not to procrastinate on their homework. We are procrastinating on our homework. It's now time for us to move the summer learning plan. It's now time to give consistencies to our administrators, to our teachers, to our youngest learners, and to our taxpayers.
The $150 million proposal is designed to help students catch up on learning that they may have missed because of COVID-19.
Now it includes mental health support, summer preschool, and college courses for graduating seniors. Face masks, they're no longer mandatory for outdoor events at West Fargo Public Schools, and that includes upcoming outdoor graduation ceremonies. District administrators are also asking the school board to suspend the Return to Learn plan at the end of this month.
That would mean for summer school and summer activities during June, face coverings would no longer be mandated and the district would no longer contact trace. Grand Forks is trying to combat vaccine hesitancy with a unique vaccine clinic tomorrow. From 3 until 8, you can walk into the Empire in downtown Grand Forks, receive either the Pfizer or one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and then get a free drink. There will also be live entertainment. Younger age groups continue to account for the majority of new COVID cases in the county.
North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is directing state agencies and nursing homes to rework visitation policies during a state of emergency. The order calls for each resident to have a designated caregiver who will be given in-person visitation even during a lockdown. If a skilled nursing or basic care facility needs to restrict visitation, residents will be allowed to have that one person provide in-person physical, spiritual, or emotional support. That person can either be a relative or a health professional. The city of Fargo says you can opt out if you don't want your home to be a part of citywide mosquito spraying. Cass County Vector Control Director Ben Prather says people can have their homes excluded, but only for ground spraying. The aerial application, that poses more of a challenge, so Vector Control can't offer that exemption.
Now, Prather says there are typically a small number of people who choose not to be included. With some of them opting out of ground spraying, it leaves the question of how effective these methods really can be.
You know, we're still spraying 25, 35, 45,000 acres via truck-mounted sprays. Missing one spot or, one road is those mosquitoes that are there are going to pick up and move.
Prather also says ground spraying relies on the wind, so even if they miss a home, the insecticide will still travel as it's designed to get into the foliage.
If you want to opt out of ground spraying, you can find a link on our website, valleynewslive.com. Moorhead fire investigators now say a trailer home that caught fire on Monday is a total loss. They say it started from an improperly disposed of cigarette on the deck near the front of the home. No one was hurt.
Fargo police have now identified the person they say is responsible for vandalizing a statue of Jesus Christ in downtown Fargo. Someone put black paint on the face of that statue at St. Mary's Cathedral around 3:30 in the morning on April 17th. Police say they know who that person is, but they have not yet made an arrest. Demolition crews, they're tearing down the remains of Elam Rehab and Care Center on South University in Fargo. A huge fire tore through there in January 2020, and it forced the closure of that facility.
Current plans include putting up a new facility, which will be the same size, but will have fewer beds and will have a different layout. The new facility is expected to open next spring. Sometimes all it takes is a thank you to show your appreciation, and that's what Bonanzaville is offering to area nurses.
And the Valley Today's Brian Sherrod, he joins us live with what you can expect at their newest exhibit dedicated to nursing. Good morning, Brian.
And good morning, Jordan and Lisa. What I can tell you is that Bonanzaville has had this set up for a while, and this is going to last over the next 2 years when it comes to honoring these nurses for everything they've done. And right behind it, or in front of it, I should definitely say, it's at 1351 Main Avenue West in West Fargo. So take a look at this video on the screen. It just shows you a little bit of what I'm talking about. It highlights when nursing started in North Dakota up until right now. Did you know that St. John was the first hospital built in Fargo back in 1900? The first nursing class came a year later in 1901. And you can check out uniforms, caps, and pins, along with their involvements in the armed forces and across the world. It is important to salute our nurses for answering the call to always help.
Put their own well-being on the line, their families on the line as they responded and carried out. We do have a pledge of nursing. And part of it is that we step forward and we do what it takes to protect others and to protect our colleagues.
So the exhibit will go for 2 years between May to September, and the Nursing Appreciation Reception goes on Friday, May 7th from 5 to 8 at night at Bonanzaville in West Fargo, where I am right now. This is a free event for area nurses. So make sure you go to valleynewslive.com so you can see the times available for this exhibit, which again is right behind me. Or you can also, if you're an area nurse, check out the reception because this is dedicated just for you.
I love it. I think tomorrow is National Nurse Appreciation Day as
I
well,
believe you are right, yeah.
But definitely a great event and exhibit for nurses and for everyone who appreciates all that our nurses do.
Especially during this challenging year. Brian Sherrod reporting live. Thank you this morning. The city of Fargo is asking people to put out their garbage by 7 a.m. on pickup day during our annual cleanup week.
Crews are working 10-hour days and starting their shifts a little earlier. They're asking people to have their garbage out early so that they can avoid callbacks to areas that they have already been to. In our consumer alert this morning, BK is rolling out a green packaging pilot program, focusing on its 8 most used items: forks, spoons, knives, straws, drink lids, fry pods, those Whopper wrappers, and napkins.
That's a mouthful. The guest packaging will be tested in Miami restaurants. They're also going to look at using some cutlery and napkins based off of recyclables. They also hope to use more single-use packaging that is reusable in the future.
Let's get our answer now to our question of the morning on Facebook. 8% of people say they have borrowed but never returned this.
The answer, a travel mug. So beware who you borrow that to. Remember, you can play along every day by heading to our Facebook page.
The Today Show and CBS This Morning are just about to start, but the Valley Today rolls on. Join us right now for more live up-to-the-minute news and weather on the Fargo CW.